Yeah, 'cause I I gotta do some shopping and shit and get back here and do some more of this shit. Last day, you know, last minute kind of bullshit. Well, good morning. This is Micheal Layne. Is Barry Finch there? Thank you. Okay, thanks a whole bunch. Bye-bye. You think you'll catch anything with that? Does this have sound?
Of course it does.
Yeah, there's the place. It was in Nepal. I think it was Nepal.
From Abbott, you mean?
Just start doing it. I may just do that while I'm there. Fuck it.
What's the piece called?
Caracol.
It's called what?
Caracol. Spanish for shell, for snail.
Oh, it's this little piece over here.
This one. This one here is too functional. Although that may go someday. You're gonna have glare this way though.
Clear where?
I can see the. This way it's better. This way that light glares.
Is it going to be installation in California or is it Arizona?
I'm gonna do it up there in California. That's where I want it to go. No, not Bisbee. They have no money. So, you know, materials have to get paid for somehow. Even if I give the design and labor for nothing. Oh, Bart says forget giving it for nothing.
Is it going to be a tent-like structure? I can see it pretty clearly here.
Yep. It'll be 10 on the outside.
And how do you walk into it?
Through here. And then through that tube.
And how big is it?
How big? It's about 18 feet high,
Looks beautiful.
60 foot long, and 45 foot wide. Yeah. Bart looked at it and says, here you go. This is very sensual again, but this time you've been able to combine the male and female parts. I go, I didn't even say that. Every time I do a piece, somebody says, it's phallic and it's all that stuff, and I never think about it when I do it. Kind of weird. I guess it's part of me. So I'll have to chop all those up. Put them down so I can get them in the tubes.
It's like poems. You sit in front of old poems and listen to their song.
Yeah.
It's too bad. Well, probably ought to sometime. You know, could you encapsulate the your Argentina trip in a very short time? I mean, could you give a sense of that, what the story's about, without going into it?
Yeah, perhaps that painting at the end of the room is encapsulated better than anyone.
Well, let's take a look at it. How so? You mean as an art piece?
Well, as an encapsulation of a concept, of an idea, of an experience.
Of the coming trip you're talking about? Or the trip that you did?
The trip I did.
Huh. What's the piece called?
That one? In Search of Urks.
What is Urks?
A mythological underground city. The mountains halfway between Buenos Aires and Santiago, Chile. Near Mendoza.
So you went to look for it?
No, that would be the next trip. No, I don't think I could talk about that right now. Being that I'm taking off again on a sojourn in a different direction.
It's pretty omnipotent, pretty always there, isn't it?
What's that, Bill?
The search. The search.
Yeah, it's kind of a combination of searching for inspiration, which is what it comes down to. Searching for truths and inspirations, and then searching on how to get it produced. The manifestation of it through art. Yeah, ethnologists are pretty intense people, I'll tell you that. Their whole life is spent on the search. The search and the categorizing of it. Erica was talking about another fellow who just was in Nepal for the same reason. An ethnologist. She was when she was working at Harvard. That came up in conversation last week.
Ethnologist? I can't even say the word.
Ethnologist.
This is the fellow you met down in Argentina was an ethnologist, or was it a group of people? It was a.
No, he was. He was
He works for.
No, he doesn't work for himself. He's a world-renowned ethnologist. He calls it basically a social ethnologist. I guess basically they look in the past, not like an archaeologist, but an ethnologist works with the social aspect of people's lives and makes connections. Tries to find truths through myths and through legends and through how people lived versus their structures.
That was my thought when I brought.
And basically trying to produce or to come up with the idea, Bill, of what made us today how we are. What our ethnological histories are, you know. Ethnologist. So in some ways he is an ethnologist, is tracing the ethnic origins of peoples. So in some ways their studies are more living than dead. In other words, they're not trying to figure out what happened, but how that reflects how we are today, and how that reflects back, how answers in the past can reflect who we are today. Or an archaeologist or people studying that. In the past, they just want to see that was the past. That was something that happened.
Well, no, I brought you the architectural magazine again.
Oh yeah.
And when I was reading it, and I thought, well, here's an interesting thing about the structures that our society can make. Phenomenal structures, incredible products go into these structures. But what about the human beings? It's like the human enlightenment seems to be at a static point, whereas the structures are constantly kind of pushing forward somehow. Or maybe enlightenment's not static and the structures are static. Maybe we're stuck on structures in a static way. But this big business, these incredible buildings, but there doesn't seem to be any humanality or humanity to them. It just seem to be stuff.
Perhaps that's the point, that architecture on the whole doesn't bring in the human element. I mean, they talk about it and they relate to it, but perhaps since Bauhaus, the human element never happened. That's the area that I'm going to be working at.
Which one's that?
Well, you always try, people or society tries to categorize you. And my work is going to end up being what we call environmental sculpture. It's going to end up coming into the art scene, quote unquote, via probably a combination of sculpture and architecture. So it's going to come in through that direction, and a whole new category will be made. And that's what will make it live, I guess. Make it saleable.
Make it a commodity.
Right. Once you get categorized, then you stop growing. But that's what we're. Slotted. Let's get slotted.
Well, I asked my friend Gassett up in Maine to build me a wooden outhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, well, why don't you get your tent maker friend, Bill Moss, to make you a tent outhouse?
Mm-hmm.
And then it became clear that, well, maybe here's an idea. There's something that is a commodity to make tent outhouses and sell them.
Well, they kind of do it already, don't they?
Probably they do.
Well, I suspect I'll probably be setting up some business in Northern California, doing calyx type pieces for outdoor
Patios.
saunas,
Saunas.
hot pools, you know?
Yeah.
Big business. My brother has the idea of renting them. Called Dial a Hot Pool or something. You drive the truck up, park it for the weekend, you rent the hot pool for your place for a weekend.
It's a great idea.
And if it had a nice, beautiful colored canopied area, then it would become private instantly, wouldn't it? Still be outside. Perhaps we'll make some business there to boot, you know?
I gotta go down to the, I gotta go meet my kid.
Yep.
Are you gonna walk downtown or are you gonna stay here?
No, I'm walking to the Back Bay area.
Well, let's go. Let's head out.
Okie dokie. Bye.